How's it going? I'm Jared Gillis. Today we're looking at the best possible solutions for being able to start your AC on limited power. So we're going to be looking at soft start devices, micro easy start, and even the new soft startup that you can plug in. We're comparing them all together. We've had some pretty big failures in this area, but the big question is this even really needed nowadays? What is the best solution? So let's not waste any time. Let's get right into it. Now, I'm going to start off by setting us up so we can get numbers equally across all of these systems. That's going to be important because just plugging it in and see if it's working isn't always the whole picture. And I've already tried to do this test once and definitely found some areas where these won't work at all.
No again. What am I doing wrong?
And in case you don't know what these are intended to do is when your AC starts off, it has a huge spike, a huge demand for power, often 50, 60 amps in order to get that compressor going. It can trip breakers, shut down generators, overload inverters, so you're not able to use your AC in situations where you have enough power to run your AC, but not enough power to start your AC. And that's what these are for. And this test should tell you from the most popular options that are out there what might be good for each individual situation. So if you're looking for something like this should give you that answer. The test is going to be on a 15,000 BTU AC on 15 amps and our small generator. Okay, let's get into the comparison. So starting off with our baseline, just starting the AC with no additional help. This is just a stock 15,000 BTU AC. We got 55.7 amps. Then I want to try each of these options on the generator to see how that handles it because it's a small generator. And a side note on the meter that I'm using, it doesn't catch 100% of the spike, but it probably gets around 90 to 95%. That's why I got this meter. And starting this AC stock on the generator, I was pretty surprised.
I was not expecting that.
The meter says 33, but I think that's the struggling of the generator. You can hear that when it's trying to start up. It's definitely very difficult for the generator to do it.
It's kind of a bummer that the generator started the AC, which is kind of strange to say, but it'd have been nice if I had a generator that could not start that AC for the test. But we're going to continue doing that because you can definitely see the generator struggle, and I want to see how it reacts to the different solutions. So we're going to keep doing that. But now let's move on to the soft startup, which is the easiest one because you just plug it directly in. And we're going to start off by plugging it into the pedestal.
And we're reading around 43.8, but I saw something interesting on the sine wave when using this. So I wanted to see how it sounded when we were using this on the generator. And it read 30 amps on the meter there, but we're gonna have to go back and look at that sine wave because that was really strange. But next we have the installed device. So it's definitely gonna take some time up front in order to be able to set this up. There's about 5 wires that you have to connect inside. So you have to disconnect some wires and connect the wires from the soft start. But plugging this into the pedestal to get a good reading on it, and we get 20.9 amps at startup. And then moving this over to the generator to see how it does, you can definitely hear that the generator is not struggling as much. The meter reads 18.1, definitely an improvement there. We'll also look because there's a staggered step inside of there. But for our last one, we're also going to look at the micro easy start. It installs very similar to the soft start. They can't be installed at the same time, but that comes in at 21.5 for the amps, and on the generator, 18.6. So really similar to the installed soft start. So now with that data, we can get to the important part with some other key information and which option actually blows all these out of the water. But it's pretty obvious to say that this is completely different than the ones that you install on the AC. And the price comparison between them can vary a lot. All these came from etrailer. They've been a sponsor of the channel for a very long time, but you can compare a lot of the prices there. The links are going to be down in the description because they carry everything with the soft start lineup. They have the active start. They also have other AC. So if you need to do an upgrade to your AC or your RV, they're a great resource where you can ask questions and really get it dialed into what's going to suit you and your needs. But hopefully some of this information is going to clear that up so you know what you're looking at. So this is like I said, drastically different. It doesn't have the ability to do some of the things that the installed versions do. For instance, this can't do a staggered startup like the other ones do. If you look at the meter as the AC is starting up with the installed ones, you can see that we get the fan kicking off first, and then it almost kind of seems like it stutter steps into getting that compressor up and going so that that amp draw is considerably lower. When we were using this soft startup, we noticed something really interesting with that sine wave. When I tested it without using this, you can see the sine wave kind of almost shrink a little bit, showing that our voltage was shrinking, but it still kept the same hertz and everything. This, when we used it and started it up, you can see that that sine wave really got kind of nasty and jagged in there. So what I can tell is this is trying to buffer or throttle the power that's coming through and kind of distorting that sine wave that's coming through. So rather than the pure sine wave that we often talk about when we're looking at inverters and generators, this is distorting it for that startup process to get it going. And so when I tried this test initially, because we have an onboard EPO surge protector and we have the Victron Multiplus, it did not play well with this. It was shutting it down because it saw poor power coming into the RV and was turning everything off. So I tried to jump through a bunch of hoops. I was bypassing the surge protector, but then the Multiplus was getting in the way even through pass-through. So that's why I had to kind of set up everything different to bypass all of that completely and have a dedicated setup for this test. I did also contact their customer service and they were extremely responsive and helpful. But now we can get to an option that we didn't have up until this last year that absolutely completely eliminates this problem altogether. It just doesn't exist. And it's swapping out the entire AC for one with an inverter compressor like the Chill Cube. We're going to use the Chill Cube to keep it about the same size. They say it's an 18,000 BTU. I think it's pretty close to that typical 15,000 BTU AC. So when we put the meter on it, you can see that the running watts are the starting watts. There are no startup surges at all. It just slowly ramps up. That's what the inverter compressors can do. They have that variable speed in there. When we put this on the generator, again, you can see that there's really no stress on the generator at all. It just, because it's slowly ramping up, you just hear the generator doing its job as it slowly increases that power demand to run the AC. The generator just does it. So extremely impressive at how well that operates. There's a lot more to say about this AC, and we're going to do a full deep dive review on it, but it just gives you an example of all the options that are out there. Depending on what your circumstance is and price range, it really might depend and vary what you're aiming for and what you're going to do. So let's boil all of that down. So first and foremost, most effective, hands down, was the inverter compressor Chill Cube. And I think it would be surprising for a lot of people to know that you can get the main unit for right around $1,000. If you needed the entire setup, which you would if you're installing a new setup, to be able to get the remote and the air distribution box on the inside, it's usually going to be around $1,200. Which is going to be the most expensive option on this list, but you also get an entire new AC with the most advanced technology out there for RV ACs currently. And my second recommendation currently is to have an installed device on the unit. So if you're not going to be swapping out the AC and you still wanted to have an option for running on a generator and inverter, I think the installed option is definitely the better way to go. Having a capacitor in here, having the technology to stagger start that startup process really does the most impact for exactly where you want it. You want it at the AC, doing its job on the AC. So an installed device is going to be the option if you're not going to be swapping out your ACs. The pros for me here is once it's installed, it's done. You don't have to manage anything about it. It's just going to work when you need it. I would recommend staying away from the no-name brands that are out there. I know the lower price point is really tempting, but I was just helping a friend that had a no-name brand on his AC. Sometimes the compressor would turn on, sometimes it wouldn't. So it wouldn't give them any cold air. So that's one of the reasons why I recommend etrailer, because they have great products and they have great customer service. It's a good combination. So links are going to be down in the description to everything that we talked about in this video. And that brings us to the last one, which this would be the last pick on my list because I prefer the way the other ones approached it. This one, yes, it can help you start your AC on a smaller generator, which is the point of all these devices. But the numbers on the hardwired options and the Chill Cube definitely beat this one out. And I know that this is approaching it in a different direction. It doesn't have the capacitors and the staggered start, but that's kind of the point for me too. The other ones are so effective at it. This one, you can still hear that generator struggling more than it was with the other options that are out there. It's nice that we are in a place where we have so many options. We have more options this year than we did last year, which is great. And being aware of those options so you can make an informed decision and know what's going to suit you and your needs for what's out there is how I hope this video helps you out so you can make an informed decision. So anyways, I think that's going to do it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope that it helped you out in some ways. So as always, if we don't see you on the road, hopefully we will see you next video. Take care.